Hello and welcome to my off-season or improvement phase, whatever you like to call it, video. So I'm now around a week and a half out from my first week of prep. So I start on Monday the 4th of May. So this is kind of the lead up into the last week before I go into my prep. So I'm just going to kind of run through a typical day of what I would eat in this kind of phase of leading up to prep and like an off-season phase, and then also like an example training session. So this one is going to be an upper body session in my gym / garage. So I've actually got quite a lot of kit at the minute. I've got a few different plates going up to around 140 kilograms. So I'm quite lucky in the fact that I'm able to pretty much replicate the training I was doing in the gym. And I also have bands, a couple of dumbbells, and we've just got a bench as well. So now I can finally set up a hip thrust properly. So we've got quite a lot of weight. And then also I've just had a bike delivered just because I needed some cardio kit for the time I started prep. So that is all ready to go now. So yeah, full day of eating in an off season, and then an example of a training session as well. Okay, so this is the first meal. So when I do my food, I don't stick to like a set meal plan, so I'll do it like just to fit my macros. So my food sources will change on like a daily basis, really, based on what I fancy and what food I've got in and things like that. But I try and plan my food the night before just so I can make sure that I hit my macros as I need to. But my food is quite high at the minute, so I can pretty much fit whatever food I fancy into it. So this is just 2 slices of toast with 10 grams of butter, and then 2 bacon with the fat cut off, and then 2 fried eggs. Oh, yeah. So this is the second meal now. So I've been doing work all morning, doing client check-ins, and I've just done like a live workout. So this is just the second meal now. So it's like 1 p.m. And this is what I've got. Can you see that? So it's just like rice and then chicken and veg in like a stir-fry sauce. And then I'm gonna go back to work after this for a little bit. So I'm just eating my pre-workout meal, so I've half ate this. This is my meal. So I've just had the bagel, so I have 1 bagel with jam on, and then Greek yogurt with like frozen fruit. Normally I have pineapple in as well, but I don't have any pineapple left. So that's my current pre-workout meal at the minute. Yeah, and that's pretty much it pre-workout, to be honest. So I have this around an hour and a half normally before I train. Just to give it time to digest properly, so I'm not training on a full stomach. And I always train kind of after 11 or like in the afternoon, so I'll always have this meal kind of pre-workout just because I find it like digests really well before I train. But obviously when I go into like dieting, the meal will probably change because I'll have less calories to spread over the day. But while I've got quite a lot of calories at the minute, I'm having things like jam and things like that to help me hit my carbs, because my carb target is really high at the minute. So yeah, things like squares, bars, muffins. Sometimes I'll have stuff like that around training as well, either pre or post workout. Cereal, you'll see that in a minute, but cereal is what I'll have after my training as well to get a lot of carbohydrate in.
You were the one who said it's over. Now you wanna come back. So take your hand off my shoulder. This time it's not like that, 'cause I know where your heart's at. I know you like to be alone, but hey, being lonely when you see me doing well, that's when you call me. Yeah, I'm doing fine, don't need you in my life. I guess you're missing me now. Just because you're lonely doesn't mean we go back to the start. Just because you're lonely
like an off-season phase into prep doesn't really change a great deal. So I've been in like an improvement phase for around about 2 years now. We had a small fat loss phase at the end of last year, so the end of 2019 leading up to September. But aside from that, my whole time spent training has been working on increasing my food intake and getting stronger in the gym. So through an improvement phase, they're the main two things you want to work on essentially. So getting stronger, adding reps in the gym, and then pushing your food intake up in order to help you build muscle mass. So essentially the next time I get on stage, I want to look different from the last time that I got on stage. So the focus of that phase is to essentially build muscle mass so that the next time you diet down, you look better and you have more muscle mass than the previous time. I actually just wanted to touch on this a little bit more as well, because I think a lot of girls, and a few girls I work with actually, are actually scared of putting their food intake up, and it is so important. Like, you can't just walk around being lean, really lean all year round. And as well, especially if you want to change your body, if you want to build more muscle mass and you want to improve your body shape, then you need to be putting your calories up, because if you're always so focused on staying lean and keeping your body fat low, then you're never going to get to the point of putting your food up and actually progressing with building muscle. So I do think it's kind of a scary thing to go into, especially if you've never done it before. And I found it scary as well actually initially, because I've never actually gone through a phase where I've actively pushed my calories up for such a prolonged period of time, and it is scary, but it is so worth it. And especially if you're keeping active and you get keeping your steps up and you're training hard, then you're going to be building muscles. So it's not like you're going to suddenly put a load of body fat on overnight. It just doesn't work that way. So it is so important to work on getting your food up over time and to get your food in a good place, so you're able to actually work on getting your training to a really good place, getting as strong as you can and building muscle. So I just wanted to touch on that as well, because obviously I think a lot of girls do go through that and they struggle with putting food up as well. So I'm just about to sit down and eat my post-workout meal. So at the minute, I'm just having cereal post-workout, just because it gets quite a lot of carbs in, and I just have this with whey. So this one is just chocolate orange shredders with chocolate whey protein, and I'll just switch to cereal up and have whatever I fancy. So that's my post-workout at the minute, and then I've got one more meal to go just after that later on tonight. I did actually have another meal after this as well, so it was about 10 o'clock at night, so I didn't record this. I was so tired and it was really late, and I'd literally just finished training. So after this meal I had another meal, which was potato wedges. So I use like an air fryer to cook these, so I just had those with some chicken and some veg as my last meal. So that was after the cereal meal, which isn't recorded, and that's pretty typical, to be honest. So I'll normally have kind of a pre-post workout and then 3 other meals throughout the day, and that's generally how I tend to structure my meals, and that hasn't really changed throughout the whole time that I've been pushing food up. I've always kind of stuck to that structure, and then as my carbohydrate intake has gone up and as my calorie targets have gone up, I've just added more of the kind of more calorie dense food, so like the cereal, the jam on the bagels, etc. That sort of thing has just kind of come up over the amount of time that I've been pushing my food up for, because obviously I've had a lot more to play with to get my food in. And that is actually something that I would suggest doing. Like, if you struggle to get your food intake up, and if you know that you struggle with your appetite, like, make sure you're going for more calorie dense food. So things like jam, cereal, like honey, things that are going to push your food volume, things that are going to take your calorie intake up without pushing your food volume up really high. So yeah, just think about your food sources as well, and that's something that I've had to pull in, especially these last few weeks when my appetite is kind of not really that great at the minute because I've been on this amount of food for a pretty decent amount of time now. So that's just something to bear in mind as well. Like when I start to diet, my food sources will change slightly and I'll opt for more high volume foods that are going to help keep me fuller. Next week when I do my video, it's going to be the weekend before I start prep, so like 4 days before I start prep. So next week will be like a little bit of posing, and then by then I'll know the changes that are going to be made as well. So all the changes for the first week of prep will be in on next week's video.